On today's show, it's game day for the Ottawa Senators. We've got a full preview of tonight's matchup against the Buffalo Sabres.
And with Captain Brady Tkachuk out long-term, it's next man up mentality. But which Senators players need to step up the most?
This is Brady Tkachuk, and you're listening to the Locked On Senators podcast.
Your Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome. You are locked on to the Ottawa Senators. I'm Ross Levitan alongside Brandon Piller, and today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com and win $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Today is Wednesday, October 15th, and Pilsy, while it hasn't been confirmed, surgery has not been ruled out either for Brady Tkachuk, per Travis Green.
Yeah, I mean, Ross, I did not expect Game 4 regular season preview for us to lead the show talking about the captain not only being injured for a significant amount of time, according to head coach Travis Green, but we're talking about, hey, can we keep this under months, or is this going to be months depending on whether surgery is necessary or not? So a devastating blow for the Ottawa Senators and the fan base, a team that already struggles to start hot and is not starting hot so far, especially after that flat home opener. But this is sports. Guys go through injuries. Teams have to face adversity. I mean, I'm not trying to compare the Ottawa Senators to the defending back-to-back Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers, but no Matthew Tkachuk for them, and they're without their captain, Barkov, for likely the entire season as well. So you have to find ways to get it done. I believe they're still an undefeated team. Like, you have to find ways to get it done, and this is where guys that Steve Staios has acquired, Dylan Cousins, Fabian Zetterlund, Lars Eller, Jordan Spence, like all these guys that were brought in need to find ways to step it up, and not just the new guys, the guys that have been there and already have big roles. They need to find ways to elevate their game too.
Panthers did get off to a 3-0 start. They fell 5-2 to Philly, Pilsy, on Monday. So they're 3-1. Only two undefeated teams remain who are perfect with just no overtime losses either. And that's Carolina and Dallas. And if they can get to it, they play each other in game 8 of the season. So that could be a fun storyline there. Not a fun storyline discussing the injury to Brady Tkachuk, but we'll do that more in depth a little later on in the show and which Senator needs to step up. But Billsy, one team that's not going to feel sorry for its opponent based on injuries is the Buffalo Sabres, who are going through it. We've talked on this show about friend of the show and hashtag Sens Abroad, Josh Norris, out significant amount of time. They use the same terminology when addressing that injury, but they're also without Jordan Greenway, Michael Kesselring, who they were really excited about bringing over in the JJ Peterka trade, defenseman Matthias Samuelsson, and their starting goaltender in Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. So that's a team that's going through it. They are winless so far this season. They're going to be a desperate hockey club tonight, and the Senators have to match it at 7 o'clock start on Sportsnet.
Yeah, Ross, this is a team that scored 2 goals so far, no wins, and their last home game had fans throwing jerseys on the ice. I don't know if everyone saw that viral clip of after the Sabres home opener, the fans leaving the building, and the one Sabres fan was going through a crazy rant, being like, I was 6 years old last time this team made playoffs, we suck, and just like fully unloaded the clip, rightfully so. Everything he said was honest and factual. So if there's two teams that are desperate to try to turn things around for their fan base and the morale of their locker room, it's the Ottawa Senators and Buffalo Sabres. And if you're in the Buffalo area, you can get to this game pretty cheaply. As we were looking at tickets on Game Time, the prices go from $9 at the lowest and $37 US at the highest. So there's opportunities to go see these two teams if you want.
I'm sorry, did you say that you cannot pay more than $37 US?
That is the maximum ticket price on Game Time for this event, yes.
Holy smokes. And I get it. That's 18 years without making the playoffs, Pilsy.
18 years?
Isn't it?
No. For the Sabres, I think it's 14. Them and the Jets swap playoff droughts based on when the season starts.
every year, yeah, it's 14-year drought. Maybe I'm foreshadowing. I hope that wasn't a Freudian slip. Maybe I do. I mean, they're Atlantic Division team. I don't want them taking up a spot in there.
Nope.
But they beat
we
the Sens.
feel empathy for the Sabres, Ross, but we do not
want better for them.
No, we'd like them to stay down. Because this is a team, Ross, that beat the Ottawa Senators in all 4 matchups last year. Like that just can't happen. And are we at the point where I need to make my statement, Ross?
You want to get to it already?
I am embarrassed, ashamed, and saddened to declare the official first must-win game of the season is tonight, up against arguably the worst team in the NHL that is riddled with injuries, has fans throwing jerseys on the ice, just cannot get anything going. The Ottawa Senators must win this game. And it's sad, it's pathetic to say. We said the standard is the standard, and that standard was raised. We're chopping that standard down a couple blocks and a couple levels because now it's just about, hey, we got to find a way to get a win. Let's start with the lead. Let's score some even strength goals. I'll get into some keys to victories here, as this is a very winnable game for your Ottawa Senators, despite losing their captain. This is a must-win game because if you lose this game in Buffalo, now you're 1-3 heading back home to Seattle, a team that just got a win that they should have had taken away from them against Montreal in the home opener. Man, we have liked Seattle to humble the Canadiens in their home opener on Ken Dryden appreciation night or whatever it was. But they didn't do it. So these are scornful teams the Ottawa Senators are going up against. And then New York Islanders, they don't love how their season has started either. So you got to find ways to be more desperate, to want it more than these teams that are very beatable, in my opinion, especially the Buffalo Sabres of all teams.
I was asked, is this a trap game for the Ottawa Senators? And I laughed out loud. If this is a trap game for the Ottawa Senators, they don't get the big picture. And I think they do. The start for me is going to be exceptionally important. This is a team that's gone down 2-0 in all 3 games so far this season. They've also been down 3-1 at any point. They have 1 minute with the lead through 3 games. They should be thanking their lucky stars they've got a regulation win in their back pocket. So what are you going to do this week? 2 of the 3 opponents you mentioned, winless, the Islanders, the other one, and then Seattle, it's your second opportunity at home. You better make the most of it. So this is a critical week for Ottawa, and it just gets more emphasized with Brady Tkachuk missing. The Ottawa Senators have to be able to score first tonight and play with the lead, control the pace of the game, and make the Sabres panic, because this building, which is going to be empty from the sounds of it tonight, the ones that are there are going to turn quickly if it doesn't go their way. I don't want Ottawa's discipline to be an issue, but if the Sabres power play, let's say, goes 0 for 3 in the first period, they're going to be gripping their sticks extra tight with this crowd giving them all sorts of jeers.
Yeah, I was going to save this for later, but since you brought it up, the Buffalo Sabres are 0 for 11 on their power plays. But flip side, 11 penalties taken, 11 for 11 on their penalty kill. So special teams is going to be fascinating tonight. But yes, this is a power play that is struggling right now. And the Ottawa Senators went perfect 6 for 6 up against Nashville. Another power play that struggled and is not great. But you got to keep that rolling, and you got to find ways to find momentum builders in your game.
So let's take a look at the Senators against the Sabres. Breaking news, Leevi Merilainen will start in
Right decision.
goal. That discussion next. You're listening to Locked On Senators, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Monarch Money. Look, most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's your 401k, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. Don't do that. That's why there's Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or on your phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. We're all busy these days. So if you've put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. Let them do the heavy lifting for you. Sit back, relax. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. Maximize investments, increase your savings rates, easily review your finances with your partner or your financial advisor so you can keep a clear view of your financial health. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks in this economy. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONNHL.
Today's episode is also brought to you by Farm to Fork. If you're a fan of premium, locally farmed meats, Canadian, and delivered straight to your door, I've got some exciting news. Farm to Fork makes it easy to get high-quality steaks, air-chilled chicken, wild-caught seafood, and more, all with no antibiotics, hormones, or GMOs. It's just the good stuff. Plus, everything comes flash frozen and individually packaged for your convenience. Farm to Fork's meats are top-notch. If you head to their website, they've got all sorts of specials available. And they're not only special because they're on for a great price. They're special because they're absolutely delicious. You got to try it and get in to Farm to Fork. These products span from the basic bundles, like 10 pounds of ground beef with 10 pounds of chicken breast. You can get a value box, a whole lot of meat in that thing. And the best part, delivery is free with a minimum order of $199. They're delivering all across Ontario and Western Quebec. You don't even have to leave the house to get in on the action. And we've got a special code for you. Use LOCKEDON40 for $40 off your first order at Farm to Fork. Visit farm2forkdelivery.ca and start stocking up on the best meats around. Again, it's the LOCKEDON40 for $40 off your first order. Farm to Fork, delicious, locally farmed meats that are delivered straight to your door. All right, Pillsy. So the lineups are out for tonight's game. Again, a 7 o'clock start, and we will have the postcast for you following the game live on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe and turn that notification bell when we go live. You'll get right to your phone. Ding, ding, ding. LOSP postcast time. Let's vent or vibe. Pillsy, you're vibing with the decision. Leevi Merilainen starts in goal.
Yes, this is what I wanted. I think a week ago, Ross, I mapped out that this is the right move for me. In my opinion, if you've got back-to-backs, especially when the first game of the back-to-back is on the road, give your starter that extra day rest and let him have an extended time to take time off, and then go back home with your starter and try to boost morale at home, because the morale was down at the CTC from the home opener. And let's be honest, I'm not trying to downplay the Buffalo Sabres, a team that beat Ottawa all 4 times, but the Sabres are the lesser opponent of Buffalo and Seattle. Again, not trying to diminish how important this game is or that the Ottawa Senators are going to crush them by any means. And I think this is a good challenge for Leevi, your first start on the road in what Brandon Piller on the Locked On Senators podcast has referred to as a must-win game. So I love this decision by Travis Green more than I love a different lineup decision he made.
Oh, really? Okay, nice little tease. We'll get to that in a moment or two. But Leevi Merilainen, 9 of his 14 games in the NHL have been on the road. He's 4-4-1 on the road with a .911 save percentage. And this is a big game for him after a not-so-perfect preseason. There were other circumstances, the quality of opponent versus the quality of the team that Ottawa sent to St. Louis in particular stands out. But he needs a big game, because if this is a game where Ottawa plays well, scores 4 goals, and God forbid loses, there's going to be even deeper trust issues with the lineup that Ottawa has at this point in the season. So big game for the team, equally as big of a game for Leevi Merilainen. And one thing we do know, Pills, he's going to look good, feel good, so plays good. Have you seen his setup with the alternate jerseys? The Senators posting it on their socials during practice yesterday, but their Sens are going to pull out those red sweaters for the first time tonight, and Leevi is going to look incredible.
I love that. You got to have confidence, and you got to want to look good. And
have
Ross,
you seen it?
No, I haven't. Please pull it up. But I also
go.
think it's good to get Leevi in sooner rather than later. I don't want him sitting too much. Yeah, that's sick. I love that from Leevi. Let's go.
He's got the laurels too, coming down the blocker and the pads and the glove across, red with black and gold stripes coming down, 2 tones of gold, Pillsy. We are humming in the goalie gear department.
I got to say, there's no way there's any more haters of the alternate jerseys. Like, if you've seen them in person, if you've gone and got one, shout out Ian Mendez gifting Ross and I our alternate jerseys. Really love that. There's no way anyone can not love these anymore, in my opinion, especially when Leevi rocks that. I think they're going to look great on the ice. So it's fun that they're going back-to-back games on the road and at home with these. Marshall and I tried to switch it up mid-game. That didn't work. Hopefully starting off fresh with these in both games will help this team.
And if you want a better view of it, check out the Ottawa Senators posting these as well. Some photos. We use Dylan Cousins because it's a revenge game for him tonight in Buffalo. He has already played at KeyBank Arena since the trade, so there won't be any of that extracurricular. Remember, it was on the dad's trip that they went in there, and Cousins' old man was having some fun with it. And hopefully Dylan comes to play tonight because Ottawa needs every offensive member of their forward core to be humming along, replacing the 7-horse. Tim Stutzle will start between Michael Amadio and Fabian Zetterlund. Dylan Cousins will have David Perron, and Drake Batherson will make his season debut on the right side there. Shane Pinto at center between Ridley Gregg and Claude Giroux, and Lars Eller centering the fourth line with Nick Cousins and Ole Lixell. The decor unchanged from Monday. Jake Sanderson with Artem Zub, Thomas Chabot with Nick Jensen, and Tyler Clevin with Jordan Spence. Billsy, thoughts on Michael Amadio getting first look in Brady's position? And it was noteworthy to me as well that on the graphic the Senators posted, it is Amadio playing his off wing rather than the more natural decision of going with the shooter, Fabian Zetterlund.
Yeah, I wanted to touch on both those points. First off, I mean, Travis Green has clearly just stamped placeholder player by Michael Amadio. He was Drake Batherson's placeholder player on the right wing on the second line, even though I think most people would say that's not the ideal spot to have Michael Amadio, but that's fine. It was just for a couple of games. And now Brady Tkachuk out. Travis Green has said, placeholder player, go hold your place in Brady Tkachuk's spot on your wrong wing on the top line, which we need the most offense from. We're putting one of our least offensive players. Like, I'm just baffled by this decision, Ross. And then when we heard Amadio was going to be on the top line, I was like, okay, at least that moves Zetterlund over to the left wing, and then that's more of a sniper-friendly position for him. But putting Amadio on the left wing too, like, and especially knowing that Brady Tkachuk's going to be out long-term, like, the placeholder thing doesn't make sense here. I was okay with it with Batherson because I was like, okay, he's trying to keep some consistency and stability throughout the rest of the lineup, but this is just a poor decision, in my opinion. We're trying to get Tim Stutzle going. No offense to Michael Amadio. We like his game, but he is a bottom six player that provides more of a two-way, smart, responsible game rather than being a top line player, let alone top six guy. That's going to help guys like Zetterlund and Stutzle get going, which is much needed.
I get the thought process where you're going with that, and for the most part, I agree. But to play devil's advocate, Amadio is a guy who will do the dirty work on a line. So could he play with better players, maybe more easily than some other guys lower in the lineup? Remains to be seen. But I thought he was fine with Cousins and Perron. Their analytics were actually really good at 5-on-5. My thought was you have to get Stutzle and Batherson together. You at least need a running mate with Tim Stutzle that has a proven track record of being a consistent point producer. But Travis Green here is valuing keeping the depth in his lineup rather than elevating the line that lost the most. It kind of feels like Ottawa's going with 3 second lines, for lack of a better term, rather than loading up and having that real punch at the top. This is going to be a big stretch for Tim Stutzle, and we'll get into that a little bit more later. But for tonight's game, my locked-on player is going to be Fabian Zetterlund. And I know I'm not surprising anyone with that. Billsy, I've made the bet that you threw out there before the season. Fabian Zetterlund, 4 or more shots in a game. It's 0 for 3 so far. Tonight is my last chance on it. I think if we're not going to see it tonight, I think I'm going to start asking some questions about Zetterlund as a top 6 player in the National Hockey League. They've given it now a decent sample size, and I know it's not a big one, but decent one.
Yeah.
Tim Stutzle can't be held off the score sheet, and he needs guys on his line that can help facilitate with him. So it's not going to be Zetterlund. get the turnstile going and let's try something else. So that's my locked on player. I think this is a huge game for Fabian Zetterlund and the trust that the fan base has in him.
Yep. I mean, he's now played, Ross, 23 regular season games with the Ottawa Senators and has 2 goals and 3 assists. Like 5 points in 23 games is.
He will also not be on the power play unit tonight, Pillsy. It looks like Lars Eller will get reps on the second unit. But before maybe we touch on that further, you're locked on player tonight.
I'm going to be locked on to Drake Batherson, his first game of the regular season. Now, obviously, Brady Tkachuk being injured. There's not really anyone that can replace a captain, especially a captain that brings the style of game that Brady does. But having Batherson back is a nice sort of feeling that at least you get a top 6 player that can produce points. So I want to see what Drake Batherson can do. And that second line is going to have to find ways to produce offense as well. Dylan Cousins and Batherson have great chemistry together. So I really think that we're going to see a nice game for Batherson as he's going to take some of that weight on his shoulders as a guy that Brady goes out, he comes in. Let's see if they can at least try to even out that offensive loss.
And let's see it on the power play too, because I thought Ottawa's puck movement in the offensive zone could have been a lot crispier. And I think that Drake Batherson can really help in that regard. So I'm watching for the power play to score 2 or more goals tonight as a key to victory. Got to win the special teams battle just overall, but 2 power play goals, I think, would be a sure sign that Ottawa's going to be on to something and be able to get back into the win column. Do you have a key to victory for us?
Yes. First, I want to touch on the power play unit, though. So initially, I was like, oh my God, Fabian Zetterlund not on any power play unit. But then I thought about it, and I was like, you know what? You can't just be gifted power play opportunities. You got to prove that you earn them and that you're the right person for it. Like we talked about, 5 points in 23 games simply is not good enough. So part of me kind of likes that Travis Green is saying, yes, Zetterlund, we're going to keep you with Timmy, but until you start producing, we can't have you as a 0 on any power play unit. Now, not that Lars Eller is like, oh my God, miracle, we're saved. We got Lars Eller on the power play. That's not what I'm suggesting here, but maybe that'll put a little kick in Fabian Zetterlund's behind that, hey, even though I think Zetterlund's been playing decent, but eventually you got to start producing.
Got to start producing. And Pilsy, this might be one of the oldest power play units in the National Hockey League with Claude Giroux, David Perron, and Lars Eller all on the unit. They are the 3 oldest players on the Ottawa Senators, 38, 37, and 36 years old. The other 2 on that second unit will be Thomas Chabot and Shane Pinto. The Senators' top power play unit will feature Ridley Gregg moving up onto that unit, most expected to be the net front guy, with Drake Batherson, Dylan Cousins, Tim Stutzle, and of course the quarterback, Jake Sanderson. We'll get into the who needs to step up in Brady's absence conversation next. We'll also look at the Buffalo Sabres lines for tonight. There's a lot of guys out, so who's in and who do you need to look out for if you're going to shut them down? That's next. You're listening to Locked On Senators, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. The NFL and NHL season are here, and FanDuel's making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer and puck drop. Right now, new customers, if you haven't joined, it's a good time to join because you can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love using FanDuel. Ross loves using FanDuel, and you should too because it fits however you like to bet. Player props, same game parlays, or even jumping in live as the action unfolds. Right now, they're looking at FanDuel, the game of the night, Ottawa Senators versus Buffalo Sabres. It's a pick'em, Ross, which is
no way,
kind of sad, like we talked about. -110 on the money line for Ottawa, -110 on the money line for Buffalo. The over-under set at 5.5 at -40. So this is a good time to get on the Ottawa Senators, in my opinion. Hopefully they can win this must-win game. And FanDuel makes every game more exciting, whether you're watching your team in a desperation must-win game up against one of the worst teams in the league or keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup. It's quick, easy, and the best way to add a little more energy to all your sporting events. So if you're ready to play, download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet.
All right, Bills, the Sens game day, 7 o'clock tonight from Buffalo, where it is dressed like a seat night, or at least get your ass into one very cheaply. Go check out our friends over at Game Time. Use code LOCKEDONNHL. You'll get $20 off your first purchase if you want to go cheer on from enemy territory tonight. Pillsy, the Buffalo Sabres, we talked about off the top. They're going to be a desperate team. They still have some talent on their roster, though, and it kind of makes me nervous in a way because they've got elite goal scorers like Tage Thompson in the lineup. Alex Tuch can fill the back of the net. And they've got the best defenseman for my money in the Atlantic Division, Rasmus Dahlin, playing his offside on the back end. The lines are as follows, and we'll get more into them. Tage Thompson's back playing center with the injury to Norris. He had been moved to the wing to finish off last season. He's centering Zach Benson, who's back off of an injury, and Alex Tuch. Then you've got Ryan McLeod between Jason Zucker and Josh Doan. The third line, Peyton Krebs between former 67 star Jack Quinn and Justin Danforth. And the fourth line is Yuri Kulich with Josh Dunn and Beck Malenstein. On the back end, Bo Byram with Rasmus Dahlin, Owen Power with Connor Timmins, and Scott Bryson with Ryan Johnson. Jacob Bryson with Ryan Johnson. In goal, Alex Lyon expected to get the start. Ellis is his backup with Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen out of the lineup. Billsy, it's just depth, really. And that's injuries riddling throughout the lineup.
Yeah, certainly this is not the lineup that the Buffalo Sabres wanted to have this early in the season as we look at 5 different injured players for them. So again, Senators fans can be like, oh my God, we're cursed. Brady's injured. What are we going to do? Nobody's feeling sorry for you around the league because everybody's dealing with it. And you got to find ways to battle through it. My lookout player is going to be number 71, Ryan McLeod. We talked about it last year. The Ottawa Senators got swept by the Buffalo Sabres, and Ryan McLeod had 7 points in those 4 games, and he is without a point this season. So that's a guy that is sneaky dangerous, and I don't think he gets kind of the credit he deserves, but I'm going to be looking out for him, number 71 on the Sabres.
Yeah, he's a really fast, speedy player that plays great both ends of the ice. And he had an awesome breakout season himself last year after getting traded from the Edmonton Oilers. Everyone thought, wait, how's he going to do? 20 goals, 53 points is pretty impressive, and was playing mostly third line center. So he's up in the top 6 now for them. I'm going to look on the back end, and I'm going to give you 2. I'll give you a player, but also something that I'm watching for, and Sens fans will cringe at the thought of 2 left shot defensemen, both offensive minded defensemen playing on the same pair. Well, that's what Buffalo has here with Byram and Rasmus Dahlin. Dahlin, obviously so talented. You just expect he can play either side, but it's easier said than done. I think if you're Ottawa, you're going to try to dump it into awkward spots for him to pick it up off the wall and try to attack that exit strategy, because he won't be able to just put his stick up against the wall as easy as you are on your strong side. So I'll be watching Rasmus Dahlin. He's obviously got elite compete level, elite puck movement, a great shot, and good hands, but make him uncomfortable with how he's positionally on the ice. That's going to be a key to victory and a lookout player, because if you don't do that, he can be a one-man breakout and control how the game unfolds for almost half of it, as he's typically among the league leaders in ice time.
Yeah, I mean, certainly Buffalo's best player. So, yeah, when he's on the ice, you really got to watch out for him. And he has 1 assist so far and is a -3. So
Sabres only have 2 goals. So
Exactly.
Not a lot of points to go around there. He's 3rd in the league behind Travis Sanheim and Zach Werenski in average ice time.
Yeah, and we can transition to some of my keys to victory here as, again, this is a beatable team in the Buffalo Sabres, but one area I want to focus on, Ross, and one of the few bright spots for the Ottawa Senators as a team this year, the Sens have been awesome in the faceoff dot, and not just good, not just great. I'll emphasize all caps, bolded, underlined, awesome. They are first in the entire NHL in faceoff win percentage at 65.3%. They're winning math guy, approximately 2 out of every 3 draw. The next best team is the Golden Knights at 58.5%. So it's not even close. And then you think, okay, how comparable is that to the Buffalo Sabres? The Buffalo Sabres are 30th at 41.6. The Senators win 25% more approximately draws than the Buffalo Sabres. So this is an area where if you can win those draws and get possession, I want to see the Ottawa Senators slow things down, play with control, make tape-to-tape passes. I feel like they were gripping the stick too tight, forcing things, especially in the home opener, and allow yourselves to be the ones that are controlling the puck and the pace of play. Because I think this Buffalo team, if you can get them hemmed in their own zone, you can create damage on them. And Ross, now that you got it up for the people on YouTube, also, can you sort shots per game for me, please, producer Ross?
Oh,
Thank you. The Ottawa Senators are 7th in the league at 31.3, and then now scroll down to find the Buffalo Sabres.
wow, I'm scrolling.
There we go, 16th. Oh, you passed them.
Oh, I was just immediately thinking to go to the very, very bottom.
No, they're not that bad, but at 29, so under 30. So yes, the Ottawa Senators are getting shots, but we got to focus on getting some more quality shots. Like the home opener, I don't know how many shots were just floaters from the point and hitting UC Saros right in the logo, and that's the easiest saves he'll have after making his career. We got to find ways to make winning the faceoffs be a huge advantage and create better high danger scoring opportunities, because the Sens had opportunities, but a lot of those were getting blocked and they were shooting them into shin pads. We need to find open lanes and get guys open. So those are big stats. I know maybe I'm the faceoff guy and people kind of goof on me how much I emphasize faceoffs, but it can play a major role in the success of your team.
Yeah, well, look at last season. Ottawa was great in the regular season, but they lost key draws against Toronto, many of which resulted in game-changing goals. Pilsy, game-changing goals. The Senators need those, and without Brady Tkachuk, it's going to be harder to come by. We put up a poll at Sens Central this morning. Which forward must elevate their production in Brady Tkachuk's absence? We gave 4 options: Tim Stutzle, Fabian Zetterlund, David Perron, and Claude Giroux. And it's a blow-away victory for Tim Stutzle at 65%. This is going to be a legacy stretch for Tim Stutzle. Are you a true superstar? Because we've seen it in the past when players have their running mate, so to speak, out of the lineup, they elevate even more. So can Tim Stutzle elevate? He's shooting the puck, but the production's not there. He needs to be the best player, at the very least the best forward on most nights here in the next stretch.
Yeah, I agree. This is going to be big on Tim Stutzle, but I had a different answer. So if you want to dive deeper into why it's Tim Stutzle, I will allow you here, and then I'll give my argument.
There's nothing more to say other than do what you're doing, but finish. Because that's the difference between Tim Stutzle having 1 point and having 5 this season. Like, he's had his chances, but he's not bearing down and getting the puck over the goal line. So he needs to not overcomplicate things with Brady out of the lineup. Like, it's almost like a less is more. Just keep pounding pucks away on net, and let's move quick out there and get the score sheet showing that. And I think once he catches the wind of confidence, we've seen long point streaks from him before, he needs that spark to get him going, and I think that'll burn straight through the next while. I hope.
And just quickly, I loathe entirely the idea that some Sens fans have had online that, hey, with Brady out, let's move Timmy to the wing and see if that can elevate his game. I can't comprehend why that would be a good decision, to take your best, most talented player and give him less opportunities to make impact on the game at wing as opposed to top center, and move him back to a position that he hasn't played in years. Like that's just crazy for me. Tim Stutzle needs to be the number 1 center, and he needs to be elevating his game. I agree, but my answer is Fabian Zetterlund. We've already talked about how he hasn't produced enough, but if I look at this roster, Ross, and I want to emphasize, nobody, and I mean nobody, can bring the level of compete and the intangibles and everything that Brady Tkachuk brings. But the guy that's closest is a guy that hits a lot, we expect to shoot a lot, and is playing on the top line, is Fabian Zetterlund, in my opinion. Now, he's already done a good job of laying out the body. He's got a bunch of hits this year. I had it here. So far, he has 12 hits in 3 games, so that's solid. But he needs to be shooting more. Obviously, Ross, we're both riding that Fabian Zetterlund prop shots per game on FanDuel. But yeah, I think Zetterlund has the opportunity here that if he wants to stay on that top line and prove to Travis Green, Steve Stais, and the Sens fans that that extension was worth it, and he wants to back it up, no better time than to step up and elevate your game when the player that leads the team in hits and shots and often points and goals is Brady Tkachuk is out of the lineup. So I'm looking at Fabian Zetterlund to he already needed to step things up, but now the pressure's on even more.
Pressure is on. Funny enough, the two deadline acquisitions, Dylan Cousins and Fabian Zetterlund, are 1-2 in hits this season. Dylan Cousins has 15 hits in 3 games. Zetterlund's got 12, Brady at 10. And I know we mentioned it yesterday, but the fact that he flew to New York here for a second opinion, we're not doctors, but I would be shocked if he's not getting surgery. You don't go for a second opinion if you like the answer to the first one.
Yeah, that's fair. But the Olympics being this year is a big deal. That changes things, in my opinion.
Yeah,
we know
we'll
what the Four Nations face-off meant to Brady, and we know that he wants to make his mark not just as an NHL player, but he wants to create a legacy as an international player as well, and it means a lot to him. And I know Sens fans are like, oh, he should be more concerned about playing for the Ottawa Senators. Yes, of course, but it doesn't take away the fact of how important international play is for him, and that Brady wants to be a leader on Team USA, and missing out on an opportunity to do that in his prime and with the NHL finally returning to the Olympics. I don't care what your opinion is on where his priority should lie. I can tell you for a fact that is very important to Brady Tkachuk. So
sometimes there's no option, though.
Exactly.
You need surgery.
Totally. Well, sometimes players push it, and it's not always the right decision. We've seen it backfire in the past with players on the Ottawa Senators, but it's going to be fascinating to see what happens here. I mean, it's just so devastating that we're even in the position where we have to have this conversation, because we need Brady.
6 seconds ago, Pierre LeBrun on Twitter, speaking with Senators owner Michael Andlauer, the Board of Governors are meeting in New York City, was asked for an update on Brady Tkachuk. Says that the captain is here in New York City today getting a second opinion on his injury and should know tomorrow whether surgery is required. So there's your timeline. We will know tomorrow one way or another. I want to say cautiously optimistic, but I'm not. I'm trying to hold on to a sliver of hope that he does not need surgery, but did not look good. So the boys are going to have to pick him up.
Now, and maybe I'm wrong on this, but I saw some people say Zach Hyman had the similar injury and he got the surgery, and that was a 6-month timeline. And then I also saw someone comment that Connor Bedard had a similar injury. Again, I'm not sure if that's correct or not, but it was interesting to note that when he had that injury, Connor Bedard and it's Brady's right hand, Connor Bedard focused on just, hey, I can only do stuff with my left hand. I'm working on it. And he really strengthened the way he was able to shoot the puck and control things with his left hand. So those are things we can look at here, is if that is the case, hopefully that's something that Brady also focuses on. And when he comes back, he can be stronger than before. But yeah, if it's the surgery and we're looking at 6 months here, I mean,
that takes you to April.
It's devastating.
That takes you to April when the regular season ends. But somebody's got to pick it up. Somebody's got to take on the extra weight of what Brady Tkachuk brings, and nobody can do it alone. It would be wild to expect that. Mm-hmm. But together, they have to be bigger than one missing piece. And it starts tonight with Leevi Merilainen getting the start against the Buffalo Sabres, setting up for Ullmark to get back in goal on home ice tomorrow against the Seattle Kraken. We got the postcast coming up after tonight's game. Pilsy, any final thoughts on today's show?
I got 2 final thoughts. So these both occurred on my drive of shame back home from Ottawa, not a drive of victory, unfortunately. I was looking at my favorite Twitter account at Sens Central, the Locked On Senators podcast Twitter account, run and managed by our very own Ross Levitan. And I saw a tweet that almost made me cause a insane accident or drive off into the ditch, and it could have been devastating. The Locked On Senators podcast tweeted, imagine, and it was Tankathon with the Senators being placed at first overall and not getting that pick. I couldn't believe it. But then, Ross, I found out there's a reason, and there's more to the story here. So I would like to give you the floor to explain that, and then I will finish with my final thought.
So the Locked On Senators legal team has posted at Sens Central just about the unprofessional, insensitive post from yesterday that did not reflect any values or beliefs of the Locked On Senators podcast. So we're working with the security department here with Locked On Sens, and that's going to include a forensic investigation. So if there's anyone around the Sens organization that still has anyone on retainer from the forensic investigation, Matt Cook on Erik Karlsson's ankle, we could use your support right now.
Pro bono,
because
please.
We understand the harm and confusion that posts like this can cause. So please disregard any content that was shared during this breach. Unfortunately, the hacker took away the delete button, so I cannot remove the post. We appreciate your patience and understanding as we work through this.
There we go. Couldn't have said it better myself. I mean, that's tough. We've all been hacked before and have tweets that do not reflect our values or opinions. So it's an unfortunate
We're working
thing.
on bringing the perpetrators to justice.
Yes. Yeah. But it's the world we live in today, and it's too bad. So hopefully everyone is understanding of that.
Please disregard.
Yes, I'm glad we got that cleared up. Second, every time I drive to Ottawa or back from Ottawa, I have an opportunity. Well, I don't have an opportunity. I pass by Casino Rama. If you live in Ontario, you know about this. And I used to be a big casino guy, but I kind of fell off it. And today on the ride home, I was like, man, I'm feeling down. I'm feeling like a big loser. Maybe I got some luck somewhere in the tank here. And I thought, you know what? I wouldn't mind a quick roulette game. They got red and black and green as the options. And I thought to myself, the Ottawa Senators are unveiling their red jerseys for the first time in back-to-back games here. I'm going to go in, put it all on red, one roll only, and walk out no matter what the circumstances are. I got in there, put it on red. Wouldn't you know it? Red 21 hits. I got out of there. I was in and out in 45 seconds, and I felt like, you know what? Maybe there is some hope. Maybe there's some luck in these beautiful red jerseys that I have hanging up here and that the Ottawa Senators are going to don tonight. So speaking of which, Ross, I will also be placing a couple shekels on red 21, Nick Cousins, to pop up on the score sheet here. So I just wanted to share that little sliver of hope with everybody here.
$2.10, so move the decimal on his jersey number, will win you $19 tonight if Nick Cousins gets a goal. So there you go. We'll leave you with that, and we'll leave you with a bit of knowledge. Senators versus Sabres history. This one of the best games in Senators history. Senators beat the Sabres 10-4 in Buffalo at the early part of a season. And despite scoring 10 goals on that November 2nd night back in 2005, the Ottawa Senators had 3 goal scorers in that game. Danny Heatley, Martin Havlat, and Daniel Alfredsson. Daniel Alfredsson scored a minute and a half remaining in the second period and then had a hat trick in the third period of that game. Danny Heatley had 2 goals in the first period, and then Martin Havlat had 2 in the first and 2 in the second. So Alfredsson and Havlat each with 4 goals in that game.
Nice.
It's absolutely sick. And Danny Heatley with another 2. So just a moment to remember between the Sens and the Sabres back when both teams were powerhouses. That was before the first of 2 straight Stanley Cup playoff meetings. Alfredsson, of course, the most points by any Senator career versus Buffalo. He's got 84 points in 89 games, which is actually 6th most points in Sabres franchise history against their team. The only players with more points against Buffalo are Ron Francis, Ray Bourque, Jaromir Jagr, Michel Goulet, and Peter Stastny. That's it.
Okay, cool. Ross, we need to get a Danny or a Daniel back on the team. When was the last time we had a Danny or a Daniel not named Alfredsson or Heatley? Because that sounds like those two have success.
That's a very good question. Let us know in the comments the answer to that. We'll see you tonight in the postcast. Enjoy the game. It's a 7 o'clock start. You can find it on Sportsnet, and you can find us after the game on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching, listening, liking, and engaging with the show. Leave a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. Subscribe on YouTube. For Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan, and this has been another edition of the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.